Good afternoon. It is June 17th, 2025. You're listening to a little column A, little column B, hosted by Will Leminos and co-hosted by Zach Bishop. How are you doing today, buddy?
What is going on, Will? I am back in America. I am very happy. I am no longer the world traveler. And I don't want to say that I made this happen, but on the podcast right before I left to be a world traveler, I had a little bit of a problem. I brought it up. What happens? I come back to America. One of the first pieces of news that I see, Joey Chestnut, he is back. One of the greatest Americans. He is back. We are ready to go. Try to explain that to some people in Europe that this is a big deal. It is a big deal. He's going to be back. I told you it was going to happen. And like I said, I don't want to say that I made it happen, but I think I kind of made it happen.
All right, can we make a promise that we're not going to open another podcast with hot dogs?
I can't make that promise, Will. I'm back in America.
I guess so. Welcome back.
What's more American than hot dogs? I got home from Europe and then immediately just started watching Marvel movies. I had McDonald's, and then there's like a third thing, but I did this like all the most like American. Oh, I had like a 24 ounce. Yeah, that's right. Ounces, not liters. 24 ounce Yankees Budweiser. It's just like I did all the most American things that I could just immediately just get right back into the culture. I'm feeling good. So I had to open with hot dogs. I'll try not to open with hot dogs for a while, but no promises.
You forgot one thing. This is one of the things that you did immediately. You had as much ice as you wanted for all of the cocktails you could ever need.
So much ice.
So much ice.
So much ice. It's crazy. It's just one of those things that it's clearly cultural, but my dad joked, as we were ending, and I think I might even mention that to him, like, "Oh, I'm gonna get home soon. Can I have some ice water?" He's like, "I've drank more warm water in the past month than I think I have in my entire life." Like, it seems like the technology, and I guess it just must be like they're more energy conscious, and it's just a luxury. But I always like cold water, so it's default for me. So yes, you're right. That was something I didn't even think about, but yes, I have been indulging in that as well.
The cocktails get me. It's more of like, would you drink it like this? It's like, what are we doing here? All right, we're budget cutting this. Would you drink this like this? You would. If you were drinking this, you would add more ice. And maybe I'm just naive of thinking that, but it's imbalanced. Like, it needs to be a little bit colder. Some things need to be a little bit more diluted, and I don't know. Maybe it's just stiff alcohol to them. Deal with it. The room temperature water doesn't bother me quite as much. Although if you're, in summertime weather, colder water sounds a little bit more refreshing for sure.
We're at the beach. I feel like you need a cold cocktail. Cold cocktail, cold water is just something. Yeah. I'm drinking cold water right now, and it's delicious, and I love it. And I love being back in America.
All right. Well, there you go. Hot dogs and ice and beer and whatever else. Welcome back. You also have NBA Finals. We got at least one more game, potentially two more games. I told you we'd be tied going into Game 5 and that we would have a 2-2 series, go 3-2 in some direction, and here we are. I like to think that I'm somewhat justified in all this. I didn't think it would go quite the way it went down, but OKC now leads 3-2 after a pretty exciting Game 5, 120-109. I could talk about Shea. I could talk about J-Dub. I could talk about Chet. Let's spend a little bit of time on all of them. Which one you want to go with first? And OKC's now controlling the series.
Oh, J-Dub has to be 40 points in a finals game. That is a short list, and at his age is even a shorter list.
It was an impressive all-around game, not just offensively. I think we all look to the points and say, I didn't think he'd ever be a 40-point scorer in an NBA Finals game, but the defense of this whole team, and not just him, it's everybody. The pressure, the handsiness. They're all just past the amount of focus on both sides of this game where, I think Indiana did everything possible to try to stay in this game, and OKC just repeatedly took these punches, let the game get down to 8, and then handed them back and pushed it back up to 15, 18. It's impressive. I don't think Indiana played poorly again, and I think we said this last week where if you play fine, I don't think there's a whole lot to criticize you on, but it's not enough to win an NBA Finals game. So Indiana was fine. I don't think they played bad. I think TJ McConnell is still like Superman out there. But here we are going into the next game. Do you feel like Indiana has any chance?
Just before we go to larger picture, I just want to talk a little more about Jalen Williams. For sure, young, career could still go a lot of different ways, both good and bad. And one game doesn't just define his career to this point, but has been like solid. And he scored 40 points in a finals game. That's just amazing. And just bringing up, he was in the same draft as Chet, and Chet has been much more up and down. Chet was number 2. I think going in, everyone thought he was going to be number 1, and the Magic zag on that. But Jalen Williams comes at number 12. Still lottery, so you still have some expectations. But I don't think you have this high of expectations, as well as coming out of Santa Clara. All the guys ahead of him are international, or they're from schools that you for sure are expecting to hear from. So, no, just very impressive. I I do think the Pacers have a chance. I think that they've been great at home. I think that their margin of error is small. And if Halliburton is actually hurt, which it seems like he is, there's like no room for error.
I think
Everything has to be perfect. They're going to have to get, you go back to game 4 where Indiana did everything right, was in the lead. OKC can't get an assist. Shea doesn't have an assist in the game for the first time in forever. They only hit, it's like 3 threes? Like something crazy where you see that and you think, oh, well, they clearly got blown out. And that's in a game they won, so they're going to need just everything to be perfect. Obi's going to have to be hitting everything. They're going to need a Neesmith unconscious game. They might even need a Halliburton miracle at the end. But there is a chance, but it's a no margin for error, no duds.
It sounds silly, but I think they could still win without Halliburton. I think if anything, if he's not going to be playmaking or scoring out there, I don't care about the scoring. I hate everyone points to the scoring. He just needs to be more involved in the offense and get other guys buckets and push the pace. And if he's not able to do that, he doesn't need to be out there. They have other guys. The advantage of this roster is the depth. It's not just him. He's holding them back. I thought he held them back a little bit in his last game.
I see it. I hear what you're saying about the scoring, where his main thing isn't the scoring, but it can't be 4 points. It's not, hey, this guy has to go out and be hunting for a shot and take a crazy amount of shots and get 30, but it can't be 4. Tatum has a rough night, and it's he only scored 16. Was inefficient. It's like Halliburton. It needs to be double digits. You can't go 0 for the field. I wonder too if he's actually hurt. If maybe you're right of sitting him, and I don't think that he'll sit, because it seems like one of those you're gonna play through it, and you're gonna find out afterwards it was way worse. If it was regular season, he would have been out at least 3 weeks. Whatever, we'll hear afterwards. But McConnell played well, but I don't think it would be just a 1-for-1 sort of situation. But I just know we see this over and over again. When the main guy's out, everyone else knows how desperate this situation is, and maybe they're able to step up, especially being at home.
I think at home he's not the main guy. I think on the road is where they rely on him a little bit more. I think at home they got enough pieces to put together one more win. They just got to shoot a little bit better. I still think Siakam's been the best player for Indiana. I think even consistently throughout all of the playoffs. Right? He's just a huge mismatch. I don't know how you're supposed to defend him, but he seems to find a way to take advantage of every matchup they throw at him. I mean, he has 28 yesterday. I don't even think he had that great of a game. This is still like an impressive finals resume again for Siakam. So I think
it's just so crazy. You just have these guys that go off against your team, and you really remember those, but sometimes you'll remember the guys that don't play well against your team, and that's what I think of with Siakam. It's like he has a championship. They don't mess around in game 4. He's going to have a second one, but still look at him just from the Celtics series in the past and go like, is it there? Where someone like Middleton is like, he's got to have 3 or 4 titles, right? Because he's just electrifying. Like he just doesn't miss. But I agree with you that I think that he has been much more consistent in the finals, maybe even in the series, all of the playoffs. It's just so hard with the Halliburton fireworks.
The highlights are there. Halliburton has the moments. They're real
He has
moments.
multiple iconic shots in one playoff run. I mean, there are guys, you're lucky to have one iconic shot in your whole career. And in one playoff run, there's multiple ones. I mean, the one against the the Knicks, the bouncing off the back and going 5 seconds up in the air. You're gonna watch that like years later, know where you were, know what the game was, know what the situation was, even if they don't win a championship.
It's still an overachieving year for Indiana, drastically overachieving. And I think they're positioned very well for the future. I know the Turner thing is a bit of a mystery for seeing what they do going forward, but let's shift back to OKC. They're one game away from winning it. We just talked about J-Dub. We didn't even talk about Shea. Shea is just so cool and unbothered. I think this is it like this guy's going to be like this for how many years now? Like this is a good player. This is the MVP of the league, being so unbothered by everything. I don't know how he could be this cool. Like if I is there a better way to describe that? Like is that not what you're seeing? Like he's just cool. He's unbothered.
Which is really tough against this Indiana team that plays like really tough defense. It's impressive for sure. Here's a more a hot take question for you. You said you like the way the Pacers are lined up for the future. You like the way that OKC is lined up for the future. I noticed when I was watching last night, there was a lack of juice. Not from it wasn't like the teams. It's not like, oh well, these are small markets. It's just these guys are relatively new to the scene. It wasn't that long ago. It's like we're having LeBron versus Curry multiple years in a row, and you have feelings towards those guys and like the rest of the guys on the team, and maybe not who you want to win, but you just know who you want to lose more. Where right now it's fresh. I didn't have like I really want this guy to lose. So out of Shea and Halliburton, who do you think is going to in the near term future be the next guy out of just these two that when you watch, you're going to go, I want that dude to lose. I am tired of this. I'm tired of Halliburton doing all his antics. I'm tired of Shea and his foul grifting. Are you leaning one way or the other?
I think it's Shea because it seems like he's actually going to win one. I guess if Halliburton does it, yeah, then I'll be a little bit more exhausted. But it's going to be whoever wins because this does feel like both of those guys have done some incredible things these whole playoffs. I don't know what else to say about Shea. He does it all. He's able to stop at a dime and pull up from anywhere, and it looks so easy every time he does it. He's got other moves. I thought defensively he was really good last night. Like that was like the end of the quarter, he blocked someone else. I thought that was a great block. Like there's just effort throughout this whole game in areas that I didn't think he could be so good in. Again,
he's got a unique move that it's almost like all of these guys recently. They have something. It's like the hardened step back, and then everyone kind of has to get the hardened step back, or even just this isn't necessarily just like through the foul baiting, but then guys just realizing, hey, if I like rip my arms through in this motion, KD had it. They had to legislate that out, but Shea's offhand, he just does a great job of knowing what is a push off and what is not a push off, and knowing I can have my arm out like. So, at like a right angle. And then if I extend it, that's going to be a push off. But I have enough room where I can just nudge my guy just enough where it's not a push off, but they're at least a little bit off balance or they don't have time to recover. So that way, when he kind of brings his arm back in, rather than extending it out, he gets just enough where he needs and then forces either gets the shot off or gets to the hoop or forces the guy to have to foul him. And I think that is something that we're going to be seeing from other guys that are watching the playoffs from home saying, ooh, okay, you know what? That's something that I can take advantage of making sure. I don't know if we're going to have a name for it, but it's like the anti-push off, if you will.
Maybe. I think part of the issue of taking away anything from the finals is the second we start the regular season, the officiating is different. They're not going to let it go like this. They're going to slow it down, call a million calls, and show us a bunch of commercials. It's not going to be like these finals games. That's why I've been so entertained with these finals games. This has been intense both ways. A lot of focus, not a lot of boneheaded plays out there. There's nobody out there that I'm like, wow, I can't believe this guy's in a finals game and he's making these sort of mistakes in front of everyone. Where's the humility out there for anybody? I feel very respected by every one of the players out there, and I know they're not the big names, but this one was for us, as Simmons would say. Like this is a basketball series. This isn't for anyone on the outside that's barely interested or just checking in for the finals. This one's for the diehards, and I'm indulging in it, and I hope we get set.
None of the old none of the old stars are in this.
I don't miss them. I'm okay with that. I'm entertained.
Look at the list. were any of these guys on the All-Star team? It was Halliburton, and he didn't play. I mean, for sure, Shea is, he's Canadian, so wouldn't have been on the American team. Dort, I don't think would have been close, but you're not seeing some of that older guard. So, like you said, of all of the names that somebody, a casual fan would know are not in this.
All right, lastly, let's talk about Chet. Chet is really good. Chet's so good at basketball. He has not been very good in this series. I wrote down that 2025 Chet, this year Chet, is going to lose or would theoretically lose to any future year of Chet from here on. He's going to look back at this series and laugh at it because he's going to be so much better. I think there's so many areas that he can improve on. There's so many little things that he's so close, maybe rushing shots a little bit more, but there is a defensive aspect to this, an offensive comfort that is going to come, and there will be an era of, I can't believe Chet is this good and dominant. I really think he's going to be getting a lot better. That being said, for right now, it's good, but it's not good enough, and I can't wait to see what steps he makes over the next couple of years because I just think he's really close to just being incredible. Any hot takes on Chet? Because it hasn't been that great of a series. It really hasn't been.
And I'm not too concerned about that. One, because they're winning, and because it's like he's just into the league. I mean, you look at the rest of the guys in his group, and he unfortunately kind of has to go head to head with his own teammate and in J-Dub. But I mean, if you look at the other guys at the top, Paulo, excellent. Jabari, he's been rotation, but also I think would have struggled. You keep going, Keegan Murray, Ivy's hurt, Mathurin. I mean, we're seeing what Mathurin does. He's up and down. So I think Chet's right where you would like him to play a little bit better. But I agree with you that it's not going to be too long. He's going to look back and just go, man, if I just had a few better things together. But I think that's just what happens. Young guys, he's going to put some stuff together. He's going to get stronger. He's going to be able to just control his body better. And no, he's going to be a much better player.
I'm excited for it. All right. Let's make some picks.
Can we talk about the announcing team? I think we talked about it privately. We haven't really talked about it publicly.
Do you want the public to know what we think of the announcing team?
I would like to at this point. This has been ESPN's A team all year, and in the conference finals, when they were doing the Western Conference Finals, they had some sound issues that were awful. They're in OKC, and maybe they had to do it because the OKC crowd was so loud, but it wasn't integrated right, and so it was that wasn't great. Okay, I think they got that figured out, but now it's just the team. You have Breen, and he is just one of the best. He's got the bang when you need it. He has done many of these games, but just this team just doesn't work together. It almost seems like they're in three different rooms, and they're not exactly listening to what the other one's saying. It's just they almost just get a a light that means, okay, you can talk now. And then they talk, and then it goes, and then the next person will just say something that's not really related. And maybe we did talk about this a little bit because I feel like I said that I get not everyone's a podcast style hangout. I do like the formality of it. And I mean, maybe the way this worked is because ESPN, has had some movement around, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem the chemistry just seems awful.
It's not good. I'm not even here to pick on Doris Burke, but I think it's more of that she's paired off better with some other people than this current one. And I like Richard Jefferson. I really do. I separately than all of this, similar to Breen and doing all of his own broadcasting with New York. There's nothing to complain about. There's none of them seem.
It seems like the Suns. It seems like the Suns, where you put three of these people together, where they've all had success and are all generally liked, and you put them together thinking this should work, and then you look up and for this you're listening and just it doesn't feel like a big game a lot of the time, and it seems so disjointed.
I think they all have very good strengths, and none of them are very impressed with the other strengths that they also don't possess. They're like, no, I know how to do it this way. And they're like, all right, but I'm really good at doing it that way. What do you want me to do? And they're all just doing it their own way, and none of it makes any sense at all. But they also just, the ESPN thing is weird, where I don't think they really get enough time to do it, and they want them to be a certain way and do certain things, and it's really hard. I mean, I thought this was a huge
It's
loss when
fair.
they screwed up Van Gundy firing, not bringing him back. I thought was a mistake. They lose Doc Rivers, of which they were obviously
Lo-
a little heavily
Lost
invested
JJ.
in. They lose JJ Redick as well, who they were
He was
also heavily
he was
invested
going to
in.
be on
Like
the A
this,
team.
I don't want to pick on these guys, and I'm not saying they're even like the B squad, but this wasn't their first choice. I think they were lining up
For
JJ,
sure.
Doc, and other guys, and this is kind of what they've been left with. And it's not even that I think that they're bad at the job. I just think that this is a bad pairing, as you said, and the chemistry is it doesn't mesh for anybody. It seems like we're trying to hit too many demographics and missing all of them at the same time.
I do you think this will be their A team next year?
I don't know. I think that I don't. There's not really a good way to say all this, but it seems like there's no good way to get rid of Doris Burke without it being like, I can't believe they got rid of Doris Burke, and this is a big deal. But I just think that they need to. I don't know. The TNT guys change some stuff next year where they're not going to be on the broadcast, but they'll be allowed to be on like the halftime show or the post game. I'm not saying that they need to do more game stuff, but nobody ever gets any time to breathe on the ESPN air. So it's hard to say like they need to be better personalities when they're kind of doing exactly what ESPN wants them to be doing, and no one else is bothered by it other than us. I mean, I mute the game a lot. I mute the game a lot. It's more in the last ending when I need to know what's going on with the review, because the review isn't like a football referee signal where it can suddenly just make sense without the sound. Like
Yeah.
I need a little bit more explanation. And there's also times where I'm like, I don't understand why they're challenging that. The sound's off, and I can see that that's a terrible challenge. Like that's why do they think they can challenge this? Oh, I see that this guy is about to foul out, and this is one of those challenges where they know they're going to lose, but they're just hoping the one miracle outcome will just go their way. And it's like that. I need the sound on for that, but that's I don't know. I'm also not watching the games live anymore. Fast forwarding, getting caught up, starting like an hour late, and not regretting anything. It's the hardest part about the announcing is it's just not a fun hang. Like these aren't three people you want to hang out with.
And this is something that, I mean, it's an easy solution. Like you just mute it. It's not a big deal. You can still watch it. I'm never gonna look at a game and go, oh man, this is gonna be an awesome game, and then look at the announcing crew and go, oh well, I'm just not going to watch that tonight. I mean, that's never going to happen. But I mean, next year we're going to have Amazon. We're going to have NBC. The TNT show's there, but like some of the TNT like announcers, they're going other places. And I just think that if ESPN isn't careful, Amazon and NBC are going to try to make a big splash. They're going to try to figure this out and will be forced to figure this out faster. And they're just going to get left behind.
I'm already so disappointed when the game is on ESPN or ABC. It's a lower quality. They still show their channels are still in 720 while everyone else is in 1080 and sometimes even 4K. It's bothersome on a larger screen to, poor me, but it's also like, all right, worldwide leader in sports, and what are we doing here? Like, how is that still a thing? And you'll go online and find out that it's really not that big of a deal, and it's pretty close, and I'll be like, all right, well, why isn't anyone else doing it? Like, why are you the only ones? You're the leaders in old technology. Like, cool. Like, congratulations. Like, I just don't really care about ESPN anymore, and I don't think they care about us, and it's fine. They're always going to have this, and you're going to be required to go see it there. They're trying to do their own single service spinoff right now where they're trying to screw over all the services they sold ESPN to and outbid them and underbid them and do all this nonsense. But it's fine. They'll have it again. I don't know what else you're supposed to do this. This seems like something where if you just don't like it, it's just not for you. And they're not addressing this as a problem. Nobody's stressing this. There's no boardroom somewhere right now being like, man, we really got to figure out this NBA anchor thing. Like somebody's pulling their hair out and stressing, smoking cigarettes, just trying to be like, I don't know how we're going to fix this. Nobody's doing that. Nobody is worried about this at all. They're not even aware that this might be upsetting to some people.
It could very much be a money situation of they got rid of the guys that were making a ton of money, and so they're cool with having a lesser product because they're saving millions of dollars, and that's the way they're going about it. So it's a business, so run it how you want, but I felt it was important to bring up because normally, football, basketball, I don't really notice the announcers so much, but it's been time after time of I just noticed it. It's so disjointed. I think you put it like best. It was like this just does not seem fun. And this is the finals. This should be fun. Like my team isn't playing. Like there's no stress. I don't really even care what side wins. Of like it just should be more enjoyable.
They all seem excited for different reasons to be there, and not excited for anyone else's reason. Like it's weird. It's a very, very strange situation here. Now, what I will give ESPN some credit for is that this is almost like the Knicks coaching situation here, where they lose JJ, they lose Doc. I'm just supposed to go hire who? Like they're just a long list of people suddenly available. Like all the people from Turner could have easily come and taken this job. I don't think that I would have taken any of those people over this either. Like, do you want Reggie Miller on ESPN? I'm not like saying he's bad, but he wasn't top of the list for me.
Have the Knicks asked you if you'd be willing to coach, or if they asked if you'd allow me to interview? Because it seems like they're asking everybody if they can interview their coach.
No, I think they specifically didn't ask me just to insult me. Like I think that's their
rough
move.
Man.
I think I just got left out, and there are other coaches too. I don't know why they didn't ask everybody. I don't know why they're just not going by the coaches they used to have. I think there's a list. You can go down that one. Bring all those guys in. Maybe someone needs a second crack at this.
It's so bizarre where I get like the Knicks very recently have had some success with Thibodeau, but now it just seems like they're going way over their skis, asking coaches of current successful teams or wanting to interview those coaches. Where I don't know. It just seems like Ime. Like, why would you want to go from this young Rockets team to this older, could be competitive, it's in the East Knicks team where it's only been recent success, and just seems like more likely that, snap of the fingers, Dolan makes some demands, and this team is right back into the doldrums for a decade, rather than, this is going to be good for my career.
It seemed like they knew who they wanted to hire when they were firing the guy, because they did that super fast. I don't know where you go from here.
I just like that all the teams just said no, which totally makes sense. No, we have our guy. We're good. He's under contract. No, you can't interview him.
I've legitimately heard this joke made before of like, well, did they call Tibbs again too? I mean, if you're going to call everybody, well, like at least let me compete at it. Like what? I don't know why you would get rid of somebody and be so sure that you're getting rid of them without having at least a decent idea of who's available and what you might be able to get. Like the idea that we're just playing the field and that we're better off with that than after the season they just had. I don't know. I would do the same thing with ESPN right now. All right, I would not be saying we're getting rid of Breen and Doris Burke and RJ and until we got something better. All right, don't think that you're just gonna find it.
It's also public. It's so public too. It looks like they don't know what they're doing.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's typical old Knicks of like, well, we're the Knicks. Of course we know what we're doing. It's like, well, it seems like you do, and then you get a little overexcited, and then you kind of throw up a little bit, and then it's a mess again, and then you just try to really you're like chasing the blackjack hand, and you just keep losing. You're like, no, double down, no, more money, going back to the ATM. It's like, no, you can't chase it that hard. Like it takes time. You got to learn to walk away on certain deals, and I don't know. Maybe we're back to just we're chasing. Are we chasing or are we building? I think they were building over the last couple of years. Now it seems like they're chasing a little bit, and maybe that won't be such a big deal. I don't know who they'll hire, but I think that whoever they hire is going to have some shoes to fill. Like, if not, do you think that they're a lock to even get as far as
it's still so crazy? We mentioned this on the last podcast. If the Celtics had beat them in 6 or 7, Tibbs is looked at as having an awesome year, and he's still around. But because they overachieved, and then you could say maybe underachieved against the Pacers, now he's like instantly gone, and now they're doing something else. It just like your expectations like just switch so quickly, and it just changes the whole situation. Like if you had said at the beginning of the year, especially after game 1, where we just absolutely destroyed them and their new toy, Karl Anthony Towns, we just took him directly out of the game and just abused him after that and said, hey, we could make the Eastern Conference Finals going through the Celtics. Can we keep Tibbs for more years? I think every Knicks fan would have said, absolutely, do it right now.
I also heard this terrible argument, and what would you say to this? Well, if Thibodeau is such a good coach, how come no one else has hired him yet? I don't like that.
Sure,
that's stupid.
Sure, I guess. I mean, how many job openings are there currently?
Well, I also it's his fault for being selective. Like, yeah, I'm sure he could find any job. I'm sure he could get a college job if he wanted. He doesn't want that. He wants the right
It's
job in the
he's
right
under
situation.
he's under contract.
Also
So when you
true.
get fired and you're under contract, you keep getting paid. So you have the luxury to sit and say, let me wait for the right opportunity here, and let me just collect this millions of dollars to not work.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's a good coach. I don't know who's denying that. I don't know what more evidence you need to see. Look, it's a bold choice, but at least he's committed to being Tibbs, and you know what you're getting when you get him. It's more of you think if you're going to bring him in and adjust him in any way that's not going to work. You got to let him run it the way he's going to run it. I think the results speak for themselves, and whoever he signs with next, and whatever coach he's going to be leading the team for is gonna be happy with him. I think he'll make some noise somewhere else, and we'll just be waiting for the next coach to get fired, and he'll step in and maybe take over a pretty decent situation for somewhere else. All right, speaking of new situations here, we did have an NBA trade on finals week here, a pretty big one, or at least it seems like almost a
It's
shift
pretty big.
a shift in the Eastern
Lot of
Conference.
picks.
You know, a little rise in the Orlando Magic as they have traded for Desmond Bane from the Memphis Grizzlies. Do you have the details on this one? I didn't even write it down.
Yes, I do. The Magic, they receive Desmond Bane. The Grizzlies get Cole Anthony, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, four first-round picks. 16th pick this year, unprotected in 2026, 2028, and 2023, as well as a 2029 first-round pick swap, top 2 protected.
So who won the deal, Zach?
I think that the Magic won this deal. I think that they needed a shooter. They got one. I think you look at it and you go, that's a lot of picks. Which 4? Yep, for sure a lot. I mean, the Bridges one went for a lot, but they just got Paulo not that long ago, Franz not that long ago, and they've been steadily improving. So if you look at this, and for sure, it could all go, belly up, and now all of a sudden you're giving unprotected picks, and you're looking going, wait, for Desmond Bane, and you're hoping with Bane, like now you're going to be in the mix, especially in a weaker East, with this latest pick being 2030. This doesn't go way out. 2030, that's, next year's season. It's like 4 or 5 years. Like, I think 4 or 5 years with this core, they should never be, bottom of the league. They should be at least, in worst case, bottom of the playoffs. As I think Paulo is going to get better. I think Franz's shooting could get better, and especially with Bane, like they needed shooting. They had some injuries this year. They play really hard defense, and the East has just gotten weaker. We're not even sure, with the Giannis situation and how the rest of that is going to shake out. We have no idea on Tatum. So I think this was smart to make a win now move where, yes, it is 4 first-round picks, but I think you're going to look at it and go, okay, you got 4 non-lottery picks. Cool. Do with those what you want. None of them are as good as Desmond Bane.
I think last year, everything you just said was also true, and they said we just need to add shooting. And it was almost like you're at the arcade and you don't really have that many tickets, and you're like, well, what is this going to get me? Like, oh, man, I'll get you Caldwell Pope. It's like, oh, really? All right, yeah, well, I guess we'll do that. And then this year, after seeing what that got you in Caldwell Pope, of kind of almost splitting the difference here, not really over-investing. Although I would say you actually drastically over-invested with that contract. But my point being is that Desmond Bane is the step up. Desmond Bane is more tickets than Caldwell Pope, all right? This is going to cost you a little bit more. And you just said, all right, well, I didn't want the budget shooter anymore. I wanted a real shooter. This is what they cost, and this is where we're going with it. I understand the same addition of it. I just think it also boils down to, if this team doesn't shoot well, this doesn't work. So sure, this helps, but I don't know. I thought Cole Anthony was kind of a decent bench player, especially for all of the injuries. My biggest worry with all of this is Desmond Bane good enough to be, like, I just think he's like that CJ McCollum kind of level where it's great, but he's not a true second star, and he doesn't have to be on this team. But if either of those other guys get hurt and it's just Bane and one of the other guys, I don't think that's good enough. And there's a lot of picks going out. Is there not? And there's a lot of money coming in because they're going to pay Paulo, Franz, and Bane now. I don't know. I'm just saying you're locking yourself up a little bit. It's the right thing to do to go for it all.
I,
But I just don't know if Bane is the guy we wanted leaning on. If anything happens to any of the
I,
other two.
I think that Pope was so poor this year, and then specifically in the playoffs, that I think one of those picks was not so much for Bane, it was for taking Caldwell Pope back in his 21 million for the next per year for the next 2 years.
All right. Well, here's my other issue with this: is who were they bidding against? Who else was like, oh man, Desmond Bane's available, 4 first rounders and a couple players. Oh, I got that. Like who
I
was?
don't think they. I don't think there was somebody else. I think it was the Grizzlies. I think the Grizzlies, when they came less than that, said, "Nah, we'll hang on to Bane. Nope, we'll hang on to Bane. Nope. Okay, now it's 4 and a swap. Okay, now we'll do it." I think it was not with necessarily with another team. That's not the situation. It was, hey, if you want this guy, this is the price, and that's how it went.
I like the move on paper, but I also think that there were still games last year where Caldwell Pope shot very well and they were very good, and there'll be games this year where Bane shoots very well and they're very good. It's the games that they don't shoot well and they suddenly forget how to run an offense that I don't know if Bane just suddenly solves that, and you were so heavily invested in him hopefully being able to help that. I don't know.
I think it's like you're putting your eggs in the Paulo Franz basket and saying, "Hey, fellas, we're taking it seriously with you guys. Look, we're bringing in shooting. We're bringing in guys to support you. It's not an all-star. I've heard the argument that if he was in the East, you might have some all-star nods, but I think this is more show those young guys we're investing in you. You guys have to make sure you're taking the offseason seriously. You have to improve so we can make this team better, and kind of a win. It's very much it's a win now approach. But I think the way they saw how things went, both with the injuries and how the Pacers were able to make a run, saying, "Hey, we could be the Pacers. We could you have a decent regular season, overachieve." And the Magic had not had much success, since the Dwight Howard era, and that's you know 15 years ago now. So I think that when you get the opportunity, especially in a weak East, you got to pull the trigger, even if it seems like it's an overpay.
if you're an Orlando Magic fan, I think if you're
Oof,
Bane
that'd be
too,
rough.
yeah. If you're also Bane too, I think you want to be excited for the fact that I think this could be like a little breath of fresh air for Bane here. Right, we're getting out of Memphis, we're getting out of the Jaw shadow, we're getting a new town, new area with these young guys, and he's at a good point in his career. Like there's really a good stride here where this could turn out to really be a man. You believe that no one else wanted this guy or no one else made the move for all this, and like you said, next year, the East is a lot of teams I think are going to load up like this, just being like, hey, we could do that. I don't know. We'll just see what happens for next year. Who knows? I don't blame them. I don't know if I would have given up that many picks for this team. I don't know if Orlando is quite as a finished product as it's going to be, but like I said, I think that this is a overcalculation of last year where they were like, all right, so we had Caldwell Pope, we got the shooter. It's like, hey, that wasn't it. We need more than that. No, we added more than that. All right, so no less excuses this year, Zach. Less excuses this year. See how that pressure handles out. You wanted to do the podcast yesterday. I said I wanted to do it today and react to the game. I also said I think that there's going to be a KD trade tonight. Just a feeling. It hasn't happened yet, but it does feel like that this trade is inevitable. I don't know where he's going to go, and it seems like the favorites seem to shift back and forth, and then now he's named a couple of teams here. But what are your thoughts on this inevitable KD trade and that we're already doing this? Like this is already happening. We're on KD watch now.
You, you amazingly debuted a segment last week. Can you remind me what the name of that was?
Oh, we've talked about this before. Oh, all right. Yeah, this is a good idea. I need a
We've
song.
we've ta-
We've talked about this
we've
before,
talked
Zach.
we've talked about this before, and I've been thinking about this, and I didn't have a nice list like you did, but when I wrote this down, I said in my head, I think we've talked about that. Wait a minute, that's the segment. We've talked about this before. Now, sometimes when you've talked about something, it's because it's really important, and in the past, this has been important. I want to question you on: is this trade important? Will this matter next year?
It will matter next year. It will still matter next year. It's the years after.
I don't think it does. I don't think it does because look at the last several places that he's gone. It has not moved the needle. that you have not seen a deep Kevin Durant run in a while. And especially, this is not a free agency decision where he's getting added to a team. You have to take away assets to make the salaries match for him to go somewhere. And like, I can't remember what podcast I was listening to, but one of the spots that he had interest in, and it's like, all right, well, they're always in the mix. The Heat. I mean, you put Hero, Bam, and Durant together. Does that seem markedly better than what he's got right now in Phoenix? It just seems like the amount that a team is going to have to give up. I get it's Durant; he is still very good, but what you have to give up is still too much. And I just don't see it. I've seen this. We've talked about this before, and it hasn't gone anywhere.
I think this time in this year, you're trading him for 1 year. I know you're paying him forever, and you got to look at it that way. But I'm looking at it as, no, I'm trading you just for next year. Whatever we can get out of next year, we're getting out of you, and that's what it is. It's the years after that it's going to be a little hard pill to swallow if next year does not go well, because he was still pretty good last year. I know the team was terrible. And
for sure. For sure.
I don't think he looked old last year is the first thing I would say. He still could score. I think on the right team and the right moment, he could still be a huge playoff threat. And I just worry about the health. I don't think I want to be reliant on him for more than next year. So I'm almost saying, if you're doing this is a Kawhi Leonard year where we're doing this for 1 year. And even if we do win, I think the year after this, we're already trying to move you, because I don't think that there's any safe bet for this guy past 2 years. So if you're doing it, you're going all in for next year, and you're accepting years after that you're going to be making other changes, and that this is going to be a bad long-term move. So I'm with you with that. I just think some team is going to buy into that 1 year thing next year and be like, we can be that team next year. And I could even be Toronto and do the whole Kawhi thing again.
I think that's going to be really tough to do, because the Suns are hoping to get more. I mean, whether they're going to get it or not, I mean, probably not. And obviously, is negotiating. You're like, no, we want the whole pie, and then you're like, yeah, we'll give up like much less than that. But they're hoping a team's coming in thinking, okay, this is a 4+ year commitment, so you're getting Durant for 4 years, so you need to give us 4 years worth of assets. And I just don't see the math working out here to make this dangerous. I mean, where does he go that just feels dangerous?
I think Minnesota is a good fit, actually. I think that works. I think that one is.
And just the Suns just have to eat taken back. Who?
I'm not sure which direction you go. I know Nas is a free agent. I believe Randall's a free agent.
I think Randall's a free agent too. So, I mean, maybe you could do a sign and trade. I mean, with all the new rules, it's hard to keep track of what teams are where. I mean, maybe do you get Gobert? I mean, Gobert's a good floor raiser, but
Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a free agent. There's just
so many free agents. I mean, I could see pairing him up with Ant, but now if you have Durant coming in, you've given away assets. I don't think you can afford to bring some of these guys back. And now you're just super top heavy, the same way all the teams that Durant has been on recently. And every time those topple over.
I have another team. I think teams with depth should be looking at this. I think teams like Houston. I think teams like OKC. I think teams like Indiana. I think Indiana is the dark horse. I even said this last week of the Jaylen Brown thing. It was like, we could get Neesmith back and we'll take Nembhard and Mathurin or something else. There's some sort of combination of all of this. I mean, you tell me TJ McConnell. I like Ben Shepherd. There's a whole list of guys that I feel like aren't sure things, but at least they're not complete gambles like the draft picks are, in that Phoenix needs to do that. I don't know why they're trusting their drafting. Like, why do they want picks? What was the last good pick they got? I mean, they botched. I don't even want to pick it. There's just so many years they've already botched. They've made moves that they didn't need to make. The whole center thing.
They want picks. I think they want picks because they gave up all of their picks for the Durant deal. So it's like they have no youth coming in at all. I think they're in a very similar situation as the Bucks. I don't have it up in front of me, but if you look, it's just like, oh, wait a minute. Wait, when do you guys have another pick? Like, it's so far away.
The Bucks at least still have Giannis. And despite what you want to say about Booker, Durant, and obviously the lower opinion of Beal, Giannis, I think, still gets you into the playoffs on his own. None of those guys do, apparently.
Especially in the East. They do not. They very much do not.
Even together,
and you have
they
Beal
don't.
with the no trade. And you have to Beal with the no trade clause, so he is not going anywhere. He is going to collect that check.
I think that's the hardest part with all of this, too, is bringing in new, fresh sort of people and hoping that they'll just brush over Beal. Like there's just this cloud of, oh man, like this is the environment that they're getting welcome into. If anything, Beal is going to become like the veteran on this team that is the one remaining piece, and that is like I just don't think that's how you start an environment. That's a terrible culture starter, and I
This
think
team made the finals not that long ago. Like really, not that long ago, and now it just looks like there is no hope. I mean, it wasn't even that they were bad. They had decent expectations, weren't even close to those. And it seemed like it was a miserable environment. It seemed like no one was happy. I don't know if you get rid of one person and that can kind of change it, but it seemed like no fun. So I don't know, how do you even like attract free agents to go there where you find out, yeah, why would I want to go to Phoenix? It's crazy hot and like no one's having any fun and everyone hates each other.
well, I guess my whole point of all this is that I would rather have Indiana's bench pieces than Houston's bench pieces than I think even OKC's bench pieces, just for the price of a lot of stuff. I mean, they're advertising Jalen Williams as if this is like a nice contract to suddenly get attached to. It's like, no, that might be one of the ones you want to avoid. And maybe there's a higher ceiling than any of the guys I just named on the
Jalen Green.
Jalen Green. Sorry.
Yeah. A
Jalen
lot
Green.
of Jalen's. I was like, well, I don't think OKC's looking to get rid of Jalen Williams.
Jalen Green from Houston is being the main piece shot for them. There's Jabari as well. There's a whole lot of lists. There's other combinations of all of this. I'm just saying, you're bringing in those guys, and you're kind of had these expectations of those guys being really good. Versus, I'd rather bring in these other guys and hope that they just rise and that the expectations are lower. And
Or just keep the guys that you have because you had a way more successful season.
yeah, I don't think Indy's going to shop any of these guys. I just think that they could dark horse steal the next guy that's upset, the next free agent that's not super happy with their situation, the next star, and they could, I think, really offer something that everybody should look into with a lot of playoff proven guys that got real minutes. I mean, McConnell, Nemhart, and Matherin, those are those are dogs, man. Those are guys that are shifting playoff series enough to the point where the team that nobody thought could even get out of the second round is in the finals, going 6 games. I don't know. I think it's being overlooked a lot of how good the rest of this team is, and maybe they just bring everyone back and run it back, and that's fine. But there's a really good offer in there somewhere for a really good player for Indiana. All right, is that it for NBA? Do we have any more trade talks? I mean, man, we've talked about Durant before, haven't we?
Yes. I don't think it'll be the last time, but
All right. Well, this
good.
isn't
Good segment. It's a helpful reminder.
this isn't quite as planned a segment as that, but it is a segment that you came up with today. It's some sort of a movie update. I don't know what you want to come up with this year, but we are officially hit summertime topics, and now it's time to do something a little different, I suppose. Maybe that's the name of the segment. Do something a little different. What are we doing different right now?
All right, so it's summertime, and I'm back from vacation. And summer, hits a little bit faster, where I start looking through the news, and I see like there's definitely stuff going on. Like I'm talking about stuff, like I'm seeing stuff in the news and realizing, no, there's nothing really going on. So I tried to come up with something that might be helpful for us that we'd be interested in. And you're a big film fan. So I have 3 different categories. I have 3 movies in each category. For the first 2, I gave you a heads up on what the movies were, and just looking to kind of get your your feeling on in each group. What are you most excited for, and maybe you end up with like a list of whether it's the order that you like them in, or maybe if there's categories of like for sure gonna see in the movies, watch at home, or not gonna watch at all. So the first one, these are franchise movies. So the 3 franchise movies we have coming out this summer is we have Jurassic Park, World Rebirth, we have Superman. So, obviously from the D, no, I'm blanking on it.
DC.
From DC. And then the third one is the Fantastic Four First Steps. So that's Marvel. So we have Jurassic Park, we have DC, and we have Marvel. So yeah, what are you thinking?
I think I'm most excited for the Fantastic Four movie. And part of the reason with this one is, to my understanding, and I don't know, till this comes out, this is, who knows? This should be an original story in a separate era that starts a new era. And what that just translates to is that there is no homework before this movie. All right? Did you understand that? That you don't need to see any of the other movies before any of this to understand anything in this movie. And I think that is the one thing going for it. And then the Superman one also has that going for it, where it is the first movie to start off the franchise here. So I think those are kind of the two more obvious ones that you do want to see. I'm gonna just confess right now that I love Jurassic Park. I love all the first three. I've seen those and I will rewatch those. I probably watched the first one recently. The scene in the kitchen where they're hiding behind like the counter.
It's terrifying.
It's
It's
excellent.
terrifying.
I've never seen any of the new Jurassic Worlds. Not one. I have not seen one. I don't know. They got all too CGI, and I'll get to it. It's more of one of those movies that I just figured I'd eventually see on like a Saturday afternoon watching cable, and I apparently cable's phased out of so much of my life that these sort of movies just don't really get back into it. So I'm putting that one as the least excited, and it's nothing against it. It's just I just haven't seen it. I very much like Jurassic Park, and if it's at all remotely to that, perhaps that's a way better movie than anything else I'm talking about here. But the Marvel situation's interesting. They just had the Thunderbolts movie come out, right? They did the Thunderbolts, New Avenger sort of thing, trying to write the coattails of this Avenger name, and it got really good reviews. It lost a ton of money, and it was massively over budget and scheduled late, and a whole bunch of things went wrong with it. But the movie was good. So I don't know what the takeaway from all of this is. They said that they were going to make less movies and maybe spend a little bit more money on the less movies, and it's just not going to come out as frequently. So Fantastic Four this year, I think, should be really good. I don't know if it's going to make a ton of money, and that would be a little concerning, versus I think the Superman movie is probably going to really not be that good, and it's going to make even more money, and it's going to be all backwards of all this. I don't know what we should be rewarding, the ones that make the money or the ones that are actually good, Zach, but that's my take on those
The ones
three
that are
movies.
good. The ones that are good, the who makes the most money, that just seems like the NBA rankings talk of I don't leave a movie and go, yeah, I like that, and then find out, oh, that didn't make any money. Oh, actually, no, I didn't like it. Never mind.
Superman is just a hard movie to make, though. Like, I don't know what it's supposed to look like.
They keep trying.
Is he supposed
They
to have
keep
the
trying their
underwear
hardest.
on the outside? Does he not have the underwear? I mean, all right. First of all, this guy is a giant jacked nerd, and somehow that no one else is going to ever pair together. I just think it's really, he flies. He's got the laser thing. There's like just so many ridiculous things that don't
X-ray
fit.
vision.
They don't fit into any concept of anything. And I know all these other movies are fictional too. I just think there's something weird about flying without an Iron Man suit on that just looks strange. Like even Captain Marvel, I think it looks weird when it's just her and she's just this miraculously strong person. I think it's a tough sell. That being said, it's going to be James Gunn directing, and he's in charge of all of the DC franchise kind of going from here. You might know him from Guardians of the Galaxies, very, very fun hangout movies, and I think that's a really good vibe if you're going for it, and I think are rewatchable and movies that you want to hang out in. So if they do anything like that, there could be a lot of good things. I don't think anyone's been able to crack this Superman thing, man. I've watched them all, and you want to go really, really far back, I could say they're fine, but I'm not rewatching those movies very frequently versus the plenty of Marvel ones. I mean, how many times you watch Iron Man this week? There's options there.
Very, very rewatchable.
All right, what else? Is that anything else with the franchise area?
All right, so for the franchise, you're most looking forward to the Fantastic Four. Will that be one that you go see in the theaters, or all of these are watch at home or don't even watch?
I don't think these are theater movies. I'm sorry, I'm not that much of a nerd.
I'm like you said, the Marvel has been they pared it down, has been getting better. Where it was rough there for a little bit, but it's still not. I mean, there was a stretch that, pre-COVID, when Marvel had a movie coming out, you were going to see it in the theaters. Like, it was just kind of sight unseen. There was going to be spoilers quick, and so it's like you went in that first week, or you were going to find out, and it was going to be ruined a little bit. Where now it's probably getting a little older as well. Like, what really matters, like you said, like all this homework of, all right, do I remember exactly what happened in this one? But if the movies get good again, it'll be appointment viewing. But it's not there yet. Okay, that's I'm just trying to get a gauge on. I would also like to add that this is maybe a little more personal for me than for others, but the lead of Jurassic World Rebirth is Scarlett Johansson. So I think that's the one that I'm the most interested in of this list. On to the next one.
No complaints.
The next one, the first one, was franchises. These were all not the first. There were ones before this. There's going to be many afterwards. These ones were originals, or I'm pretty sure they're all originals, because sometimes it's hard to tell. So the first one is F1, Formula One. The next one, 40 Acres, post-apocalyptic survivor movie. And then the third one is highest to lowest. Spike Lee directing, Denzel Washington starring in.
You've tried to get me into this F1 thing so much. This might be the movie that
I
does
have
it.
not. I have not at all. I just have to talk about it sometimes, but I have not pushed it. I said I think that you should give a Drive to Survive a couple of watches, just a couple episodes, and you'll know immediately whether you're in or not. But I have not tried super hard.
There's a little bit of history to this F1 movie before we even talk about the topic of it. This is an Apple Plus movie. Brad Pitt and George Clooney did a movie last year. I forget what it's called. It's just one word, too. Either way, they did a movie for Apple Plus, and it was a little bit of one for you, one for us sort of situation, and they were all very excited to make this movie. The problem was that they wanted this movie to be released in theaters, and Apple is generally not really been behind the marketing that it takes to just put anything out in theaters and the promotion to try to get all the money back of it all. So the fact that they ultimately are releasing this in theaters is, I think, really, really exciting. Everything from this movie is about how authentic it is, how intense it's supposed to be. They filmed this movie during the actual Grand Prix, so there should be a really, really good vibe in this, as well as I don't think who's going to be bummed with, Brad Pitt, cars, and drama. Like who's saying no to that? I think that's most good movies are going to have a star you've heard of before, something exciting, exhilarating like Cars, and then there's going to be some things that go wrong, and that's the drama part about it. So I'm very excited for that movie. That being said, the other movies sound very great as well. Highest to Lowest is Spike Lee, Denzel Washington, also a Apple TV Plus movie. So that's just Apple, man, just cashing checks, just signing checks for everybody.
Just doing stuff,
just
man,
make whatever you want to make. We want to be in business with the stars. That's all they're doing. So that just sounds, Denzel and Spike Lee coming back together. That sounds fun. That cast looks like a good time as well. The 40 Acres, though, I hadn't heard of all this, but this post-apocalyptic world where there is a black family defending their land against this violent militia. All right. Yeah, I could sign up for that. That sounds like a movie, I'd say. So all three of these, I think, are way better movies to see in theaters than anything else we've already talked about previous to this. So I would co-sign almost just about any one of these. I think I'm most excited for F1, and then I would say highest to lowest. Depending on how you feel about Denzel, I just think Denzel being cool is a good time, and that trailer felt like Denzel is going to be cool this entire movie. So I'm in for that. Let's just see where that goes. But no hard feelings if you want to do a post-apocalyptic action horror movie. Seemed like a really good thriller, and ultimately thrillers are probably more my favorite type of movie than any of these other ones. I need a little bit more co-signing before I'd go to a theater and see that. But very, very good selection of movies. I don't think you're going wrong with any of these.
As mentioned before, I'm a new F1 fan, so I'm interested in the movie from that standpoint. A little concerned, and it's difficult to pull off because you're doing a fake story in a real world, and so if we watch a movie about the NFL or about the NBA, it just like immediately, if it like looks wrong, or if something like it's too out there, it's just you lose it. And where if it's a movie about Jurassic Park, it's just like, hey, this is about dinosaurs. There's gonna be you're gonna have to suspend disbelief for 2.5 hours on this. So interested how they how they pull it off. You mentioned about Apple not being really prepared to do marketing. This movie is getting pushed everywhere. I mean, in Times Square right now, there is a whole lineup of F1 cars. The F1 race this past week was in Canada. All the drivers came down. They got a picture in Times Square with the cars. I know some of the drivers are going to be in the movie. I don't think it's like, a ton, but I think that's going to be an interesting piece. I mean, I know that, Hustle with Adam Sandler, he was able to pull that off with having different guys at different spots and just letting it's not like they have to do a bunch of acting, but it's just like it makes it feel more real. So I also think that you said they built this to be like a racing movie where you feel like you're a part of it. And so I want to see this in the theater, and I am expecting Top Gun Maverick type. Like it's not a jet, but you feel almost like you're getting thrown back in your seat with the sound and just how cool it is. So that one is going to be in the movies. I think for sure that's only a couple weeks out. Highest to Lowest I see as a movie that I forget about, and then like in 2 years, you say, "Hey, you want to watch a movie?" And I go, "Sure," and you put that on, and I'm like, "Wow, that was a lot of fun." I'm going to totally forget about 40 Acres and doubt I'll ever see it.
All right. I hadn't heard about it. I'm kind of excited to see it, if
I
I'm being
was
honest.
I was surprised that that one interested you at all. I threw that one in there as like kind of to make it easy. I thought you were gonna go, wait, this is
I'll,
maybe a zombie movie.
I'll be
There's some
honest.
sort of
All right. You know what I liked
something
about it?
going.
You know the Rick and Morty like improv trailers? That's what this felt like.
Yeah.
It was like, what if? It's going to be a post-apocalyptic, and then this family needs to defend. And what if we made them black with actors we recognize? And then what if there was a militia that they were going against too during the apocalypse? It's like, what? All right, yeah, sure.
But then there might be a monster on the way.
Yeah.
And they're brothers.
Also, the world might just end at the end of the movie. Like they're all fighting when this is over. Like the timelines. I don't know. There's certainly question marks all over the place. It's just more of I've seen a lot of movies do a lot of things before, and sometimes they pull it off, and sometimes it's too predictable. And I don't know. Maybe this is a little too much. Maybe this is just not predictable, and this is what it looks like. So, what's the mystery category now that we're talking about not predictable?
So this is the mystery one. Will was not told about these movies. I want to make it a little more difficult, but this one's gonna be much faster. We can go. You can get out of here on this one. These are just movies for you, and I'm just gonna read them off, and then just want your thoughts on them. The first one is How to Train Your Dragon, Elio, and Karate Kid Legends.
Elio will be the probably biggest movie this summer. Probably bigger than anything we've talked about. How to Train a Dragon, I love the first one. Very, very into the animated one. I'm not against the live action one. It just, goddamn, does it look like scene for scene the goddamn same movie? And I don't know if that's enough for me. I'm almost upset like it's the same thing, but I get that it's a remake, but I don't know what it's supposed to look like, Zach. But this seemed like one where they're really just cashing checks here. And I'm not even saying the movie's bad or don't go see it or it won't be good. It's just, I think it's going to be exactly what you think it is. I don't think there's going to be any surprises in it, and I'm a little bummed by that. So not that one into that. What was the other one? It was Elio.
Karate Kid Legends.
No, Karate Kid Legends. I did watch all the Cobra Kai ones, and the silly thing with the Cobra Kai thing is that it's a silly series. Like they're making fun of it a lot. The 80s nostalgia is awesome in it, but they're very much mocking, like I think the original movies, and it's funny to me that now this movie is suddenly serious. And that they're going back in an actual like dramatic perspective, but I think they should have went the other way and been more Johnny Lawrence, more silly, more fun, more things you could rewatch and not really pay attention to. And maybe this movie is similar to that, anyways. But I like Jackie Chan though. I mean, he's up there in age. Ralph Macchio is still fun. I just don't know if it's enough to see in theaters like at all. Like, is that enough of a movie attraction? With movies dying the way they are. I mean, if it was Rush Hour 6, sure,
The Karate Kid one, especially with the recent Cobra Kai show, seems like nostalgia, and so it's dads taking their kids, or maybe he's older. Maybe it's grandfathers taking their grandkids to this. Where, hey, it's a kids movie, but there's a lot of nostalgia, and here's a grandfather grandson activity.
It's funny. The last one with Jaden Smith, Will Smith's son from a long time ago, enough for him to be very much a kid still, that made a ton of money. Not the best Karate Kid. I don't think anybody remembers it, but it made a ton of money for all the reasons you just said. So I'd be shocked if nobody goes to see it. It just, how many times are we going to do this? I mean, all of these movies are just so many. This one's going to have history to it now. I think that's one issue with it. I mean, I don't know if you need to see all the other Karate Kids. I don't know if you need to see the Cobra Kais. I don't know if you see the Jaden Smith one. I don't know with all that. I was talking to somebody the other day, like, do you want to go to the movies? And it was like, well, do you want to go see Ballerina? And they were like, what's that? And I was like, oh, it's after the 4 John Wicks. Because like, oh, I haven't seen John Wick. It's like, all right, well, guess we won't do that one. How many Mission Impossibles have you seen? I've only seen like 5 of them. Well, 8 just came out, so I don't know if you want to go see that. It's like, well, how are you supposed to go to the movies if you haven't seen all of these sort of things? So the idea of having one with more homework to make more money, I don't know. I think it's the wrong direction. I think the franchise would have been better off just saying streaming, but I guess if Jackie Chan says yes, you do theaters, right?
I think you're exactly correct there.
All right, what else we got here? Is that it? I gotta get out of
those were the 3 categories. Yeah, that's what I had. I think you did. I think you did an excellent job.
I've been watching a decent amount of movies. I would most recommend.
That's why I knew you were the right person to ask. Where I was coming in cold, and I'm like took a peek. I didn't even watch any trailers, but you'd be able to give people a little more background and a little more of the the not necessarily the history. I guess just the background.
It's funny. I didn't watch any of the trailers of this. I already talked about how I'm out on the trailers. I don't want anything spoiled like that.
It's too much. It's too much. I mean, some of it just sometimes seems spoiled. Like you said, all right, all these ones. All right, it's Jurassic Park World Rebirth. All right, so this world has not learned that bringing dinosaurs back to life is a bad idea. It's like, all right, I probably am going to have most of the beats on this, but, it's like the Fast and Furious movies. When you're removed from it, you look at it and go, this is so dumb. How can anybody like this? And then I sit down in front of it, and it's fast cars. It's gorgeous women. There's a heist. It's like, I'm having a great time. This was a great use of my 2 hours, and I never regret it.
Movies I've watched recently: Mickey 17, fine, pretty good. Black Mirror type movie. Black Bag, another movie. It's fine. I don't know. I don't know if I'd recommend it quite as much. September 5th, I thought was pretty good. I thought The Order was pretty good. But my favorite of what I've seen recently, did I tell you about this? Have you heard of Flow, the animated silent film?
No.
Flow is they just won a bunch of awards recently. It was for animation. It's an animated movie. It's there's no words in it. It's all animated animals accurately depicted. So like the cat makes cat noises, the dog makes dog noises, and the whole movie is made on a program that's free. So the idea about it is that there's 4 guys that made this on a program that everyone has access to, but these guys were able to make a movie on it and win an award with it. Incredible movie. Like really, like I'm like speechless by the movie. Like I really enjoyed the movie. There's no words, and the story is awesome. I don't know how else to explain it. The animal instincts in on it just feel like they're very well done, where all the behaviors seem very accurate and very cute, and it's a good movie. You would be shocked by it. I can't believe I'm recommending this, and I haven't already talked to you about this before, but there you go. That's what I've been watching recently, so you need to check the credentials on my movie recommendations. There's a little bit of homework for you. What else we got to get to here, Zach? We got to remind everyone to subscribe, right?
We sure do.
Make sure you subscribe. Little column A, little column B, wherever you follow your podcasts, on YouTube, Facebook, and you can follow Zach on his X account, which is
Wicked Seaman 24.
All right, back on the stateside, Zach. Are you doing more American stuff? Do you miss anything from over there? I mean, some of the views, the weather, a little bit of food?
Everything. I loved Europe. I loved riding every day, but I do have one last thing for you, for the people. Today is the 1-year anniversary. Number 18, Celtics championship. I was seeing the videos. It was just a nice reminder. Really wish we were going to the parade again in this year. That was a great trip that we did last year. But yeah, the 1-year anniversary was cool seeing all those videos today.
Yeah. I'm not ready to talk Celtics. I don't want to talk. I'd rather continue talking movies, all that. You want to talk about TV shows coming back out here? Dexter, July 2025. The Undead Not Dead Again. How many times are they going to pull this before this is just like, guys, just run another season with the same name?
Don't kill them off.
I think this is a bit of a stretch. I mean, I there's so many ridiculous things within the show already that it's like, yeah, of course he could just live. Like, you think other things are realistic that are happening within it? So there's part of that.
It's just turning into the comic books, where it's just like, all right, yeah, well, he's coming back. Like, of course, like, we need to make more money, so yeah, he's back. But yeah, it seems easier. Just don't kill him off. Just do the Curb Your Enthusiasm. You could take a break for as long as you like, but just don't say the show is ending. You just, hey, we're just working on it.
Well, I'll ask you this now that we're getting one more season back. Do you think there'll be another season after this, or this is immediately again the finale where you have to watch this? How many times are they going to get us on that?
I'll take the over on 1.5 more seasons.
All right, I like that. I like it. I like the show. I hated the way it's always ended. Both times. Like, everything was great until they're like, all right, that's how we're going to walk away from this. It feels like everything else was thought about so much, and they were just like, I guess we're out of ideas. Like, that's how it's going to end. Oh, man. Third attempts at a finale.
Keep putting them in new locations. Keep rebooting it. New locations. I'm in.
Fool me once. Fool me twice. Fool me 3 times, Zach. This is the 3rd time. If this finale sucks, I swear to God. The problem is they already got my time from me. There's nothing getting it back. It's already gone. It's forever.
Gone.
We'll be back next week. I believe Monday. Probably Monday schedule.
Sure.
We'll be back.
Little column A, little column B.